Hello, Khabir Southwick here, Traditional Naturopath, Ayurvedic Practitioner, and Herbalist. This talk is a continuation of my series called Self-Care, Not Healthcare. The title of this talk is Take Some Form of Fermented Food Every Day. Of course, now we've learned in recent times the importance of healthy intestinal flora in our colon. Thus, many people have been replenishing um, our colon with probiotics, and probiotics have been one of the fastest growing areas of supplementation in healthcare in recent years due to this new understanding. Clearly, Ayurveda understood the importance of fermented foods thousands of years ago, and we can see that with Ayurvedic cooking, which uses type of a kefir, type of yogurt with each meal. And these are used in fermented vegetables. These are used as condiments, not as meals or snacks like yogurt with fruit. These are not the right approach. And most of these poor quality yogurt products don't have living bacteria in them. You either need to make your own yogurt, or there's some brands available on the market, including this one, that does have a live bacteria on it, made from, and it even says up to 90 billion per serving, and made with live acidophilus. So healthy yogurt or homemade yogurt, living or yogurt, is a living fermented food that can help you to replenish and support the intestinal flora in your colon. Now, of course, we also have learned that when we take antibiotics, we kill all of these healthy bacteria, and this is the time when maybe a probiotic supplement will be quicker. We have to remember, though, that these healthy intestinal flora are living in the colon, which is quite a distance from the mouth. So if you're taking these probiotics with food, or you're just taking it with a little bit of water, it may very well never make it the 20-feet journey to your colon. So you need to take these probiotics generally on an empty stomach if you really don't have the intestinal flora in there, and drink it with a lot of water, maybe early in the morning or at night, to kind of wash it down. Or better yet, as Ayurveda recommended thousands of years ago, do a yogurt enema, and even putting probiotics in enema bag. And now some colon hydrotherapists are putting probiotics in their colon hydrotherapy treatment, because they've learned that colon hydrotherapy can wash out intestinal flora in the colon, and many people don't have healthy intestinal flora in their colon, and thus this is the most direct way to replenish the intestinal flora in your colon, is directly through the rectum, and preferably with enema. So there are other alternatives. As you know, in Ayurveda, one thing isn't good for everyone, and for the kapha type, where dairy is not that recommended, there are better sources for the kapha type for getting healthy intestinal flora, and that's fermented vegetables. You can make these on your own, and here's a few products that I like here. This one it says right on the front, natural probiotics, and they have a few different ones. This one's made from cabbage. They have them from beets and carrots and other vegetables. Here's another product I bought locally. It's kind of a herbal sauerkraut, fermented as well. So these are just condiments. You could have just a tablespoon or so with each meal, and that should help keep your colon replenished with new bacteria. But in fact, once the colon has sufficient healthy bacteria, there's usually not a need to replenish it every single day, because you have the intestinal flora there. One easy way to know if you don't have healthy bacteria in the colon, or you're just lacking in it, is looking again at the stools. A healthy stool has 30–40% of bacteria in it, and this bacteria makes the stool somewhat fluffy and lighter because the bacteria has grown in the fecal matter in the colon, and by the time it comes out, it's a little lighter and fluffier, and this even helps it become more buoyant in the water. So if you have dark, sticky, and dense stools that are sinking to the bottom, more than likely you don't have a healthy intestinal flora in the colon, even if you are taking probiotics. Many of these probiotic drinks I think are just not that effective for somebody without the intestinal flora in there. But if you start to replenish it through maybe enema and get it there, then daily having a little bit of either these yogurt, or for some types maybe just yogurt with water, or even kefir, a little bit with each meal. You don't need much. Or these fermented vegetables. You have to keep in mind, though, that all fermentation creates heat. And so fermented vegetables are particularly warm. Traditionally, they were only used in the winter time. During the summer, there was plenty of vegetables to harvest, and they didn't need to have fermented vegetables. But any excess, then they jarred it or put it in clay containers and added vinegar and salt to it to preserve it through the winter. And then in the winter time, they could still have vegetables. And in fact, these vegetables being fermented actually help to warm the body temperature and keep a person warm. So you don't want to overdo fermented vegetables in the summer. And if you're a pitta type with heat or inflammation, then you need to be very careful in using an excessive amount of fermented dairy or fermented vegetables, as they have a heating aspect to them. In fact, if you are pitta type, it would be recommended you just have diluted yogurt or kefir, small amounts with your meal, and avoid a lot of these other fermenting foods. So I hope that helps you to get these healthy intestinal flora in your colon, and to hopefully avoid having to purchase expensive probiotics. Of course, the other side of the coin, we're talking about healthy intestinal flora, which are necessary for good elimination and overall health of the body and even the immune system. When you lack them, or when you don't have enough sufficient bile to fight off the unhealthy ones, then you have an overgrowth of unhealthy intestinal flora, which kind of takes over your healthy intestinal flora. And this is quite common nowadays. It's Candida, and this is fed with simple carbohydrates and sweets, and allowed to come up the GI tract because of the poor liver function or poor bile, which would normally create an environment which this unhealthy intestinal flora couldn't survive. So if you're trying to get rid of Candida, it really is a two-prong approach. You have to fight off the bad bugs. Generally, herbs are the easiest, Pau d'Arco being a premier herb that has antifungal properties that you want, and be slightly restrictive with your diet and keep reducing down sweet fruits. And of course, you'd have to eliminate all the snacking and sugar products. But I don't advocate extreme Candida diets where you're just having only protein. It's much better just to use herbal formulas to kill off the unhealthy bacteria in the daytime, and then at night supplement with healthy bacteria, like I just mentioned, either taking probiotics, doing enema with probiotics, and of course eating with these healthy fermented foods either that are suitable for your body type. So I hope that helps you to keep your digestive system healthy, and I do consider having these fermented foods as essential prerequisite for health, because having healthy intestinal bacteria is essential for overall health. So this should be something that you take care of before you address other health concerns. And no matter how healthy you feel, it's important to understand if you have healthy intestinal flora or not, and to integrate this habit of having these fermented foods in your diet. thank you very much, and I hope you have a good meal, and I hope you have a little bit of some fermented foods along with it to improve your digestion and overall health.